Good evening and welcome back to my series on making this U flatbow here. My name is Seth and this is Sweet Chariot, I guess. Hello to everyone who's subscribed, everyone who may subscribe in the future. I might be talking to people in the future. Hello there, making a U bow. I started a channel because I found myself making loads of U bows just because it's a hard one to explain. We'll get into that at some point, but this evening, aside from tidying up just a little bit, I've decided to do the Nocks on this bow. So quick recap. These bows start life like a log, and you've got to sort of split your way down to a smaller piece of wood and then scrape your way down to it, or cut your way down to a smaller piece of wood again, and then scrape your way down to a smaller piece of wood again, and then sand your way down until you're left with an even smaller piece of wood which bends in the way that you want it to. Obviously it's got to bend the same here as it does here. Well, on this particular design of bow it does anyway, it doesn't have to. But I'll do another one of those at some point. So where are we? We're at the point of scraping and sanding. That fine point between the two. And rasping. There's a little bit of cutting going on still. The objective is to end up with a piece of wood that bows that is covered with this lovely sapwood here, which acts as a natural backing. Dense in the hardwood and then stretchy in the softwood. So if you can release that piece of wood, you've got a stave that you might just be able to turn into a bow. It could still let you down, which is probably what we've got to worry about here. This particular piece is quite knotty, but we're doing okay. I've done a whole bunch of floor tillering with it. I'm not sure we got an angle to do it here. I could do it up on the bench just about. Lots of floor tillering. So we've actually got quite a nice even bend starting to occur. It goes a bit more than that. And also now we're at the point where the bend will start to happen very quickly. If you take away material at the speed we have been doing now, you could easily go past the point that you want to. So now that we've got a some sort of bend, my blood there, it might be my blood, I cut myself a few times. We got some bend going on, so now is the time to try and attach, excuse me, that's that lasagna, a tillering string. And your tillering string is just doesn't have to be taut at all, it's just a string that's going to sit between the two nocks. We can pull on, we can put it in the tillering tree over there, which I now have set up, and we can see exactly what the limbs are doing at the same time. So rather than looking at them one at a time through floor tillering, we can put them side by side and have a really good look at how the thing's starting to bend. Before we can do that, we've got to do the nocks. So nocks are important because this is where it starts to interface with your string. I mean, the limitation I have is that I don't want to learn strings, I don't want to make strings, I don't want to buy a load of strings, and I also don't want to mess around with them. They're a really structural part of the bow, so I'm really not all that keen to be sort of unwrapping the loops and sort of messing around with the lengths of the thing. I know I could, but it's something I've not wanted to do. So that's what sort of anchored me in the way that I go around making these things. So a handful of strings, 60, sized for 60-inch bows around there, and 64-inch bows, and then one that's much longer as well. So I've had a few lengths to play with. But this is the important thing to remember, is the three sort of main length designations. For a longbow, an English longbow, your string is typically 3 inches shorter than nock. It's a nock, obviously the nock being the groove where the string sits. Other designs, sort of deflex reflex designs, like a 3.5 inch shorter than nock string. And then your recurve bows want a 4 inch shorter than nock string. So it's only 2 inches difference, but that what amount shorter than your nocks that you pick is key to making the bow work. First properly and then quickly. Slight difference in the two. I mean, it all comes down to brace height. There's more terminology we throw out. Once that you've got the string attached, it's gonna it's going to sit at a certain height. This is what we're aiming for. I could well get there this evening, in fact. A very small amount of material to go now before it could probably fit a proper string. So that's what I wanted to say. So this design is very similar to the Home Guard bow that I've made here. I considered it a reflex deflex design. So, and also because it's in the mid ground, I designed this one around this string and made these nocks 3.5 inches longer than the string. You see, you could either size your string to the bow, but in this case, I've sized the bow to the string because I've got this string, which I need to take care of and stop getting crap on there. Oh, is that loose thread? It's time to wax this guy and stop scraping it against things. There we go. Yeah, take care of your strings. This one has done an awful lot of testing. I have abused it. It's okay, it's still got a good bit of structure. I'll wax that all down. Yes. What I noticed with this, once it is strung though, is the brace height's too high. You want to come in around about your thumb sort of height, and it's a good inch higher than that. So what I've realised is that this bow could run a string which is 1/2 inch shorter. And that will change the brace height, it will change the speed and the feel of the overall thing. So in a Desire 2, what have I been rubbing this string against? My goodness, yeah, it's done me very well, this string. And I haven't taken care of it, so stop obsessing, Seth. Yeah, so what I've done with this one is make that adjustment. Instead of being 64 inches long, this one is 63.5 inches long. And we're going to use the same string, and in theory, being another sort of flatbow design, I guess it comes in closer to a longbow than it does a reflex deflex. This brace height should be better. What I'm going to do, I'll wrap it around here. Please don't judge me. Yeah, down you go. So I've gone ahead and marked that on. How did I do that? Right, I knew that is the next defining feature here. You need to have a certain amount of material hanging over the cuts that you're going to make in your self bow here. I mean, there's various other ways to attack the problem. But what I do is what they call self nocks. It's nocks that live in the wood rather than another piece of material that you're going to attach to the wood. But if you're going to self knock you're going to want tip overlays as well. Because if you just put some notches in here and let the string sit across the back, it's eventually going to cut into that sapwood and the bow could well fail. Might not. Over time, it could well. You want these things to last as long as possible. So yeah, once again, you measure your stave. Make sure these tips are nice and flat. Mine weren't, so I flatten those off. Measure your stave. You find the exact middle. It doesn't really matter where that is, but as long as it's the middle. So I don't know. It doesn't matter what number. See, I won't take you through the measurements that I actually made. But what you need, and you should have this already, is the very dead center of your stave. And just to simplify things, to make the length of the bow that you desire, you're just going to measure out half that number and measure out from the center. And so it's not a huge, so I'll do this side, it's not a huge amount of material that I've left over here. So these are the two nocks, these two far lines here, that one there and that one there. That makes that's 63.5 inches cut in half, obviously, and that leaves us with, I forget exactly how much. It's just under an inch. It's not quite 3/4 of an inch. It's just a smidge under. So that's okay. That's minimum, really. I think 3/4 of an inch is the very, very least that you'd want to leave. I like an inch to an inch and a half, really. I think that's safe, nice and safe. But then I've got quite good with the tip overlays now, so I'll be able to extend the tip very slightly if I want to, and that just adds some structure. But yeah, we find those nocks Easy peasy. That's where your string's going to go. Remember what we do? Either 3 inches or 3.5 inches less. Sorry, more than the string than you're going to use. The string you're going to use is either going to be 3, 3.5, or 4 inches shorter than your Nocks. Yeah, your bow type will give you a very good idea of exactly which one. Right, so now we're going to talk about carving into the wood, because they are pretty simple, really. I mean, it can be quite a stupid knife case. It can be quite a nerve-wracking moment, because you're going to be, cutting into something that you've spent a lot of time on. But we should have left a little bit extra material at the width of the tip there, because we're going to size that all down around our tip overlays. Once it goes on, you're going to need just a little bit of material there to sculpt and make it look good. But your knock doesn't just go straight across your stave like this. It's going to need an angle. And what you need to try and imagine is the angle that the string will come off the limb when it's braced. So it's bent around here, and your string will be straight at that point. So it'll be quite hard to visualize that one. So what I've found is a good measurement is you take your knock measurement here, and you come in 3/4 of an inch to an inch down from that knock. So mark your knock on the back, and then you mark that drop point on the front, on the face, the belly, and then you're going to join those two lines between the front and the back across that 3/4 of an inch. Yeah, knowing that this is the you don't want to go past this line when it sort of appears into the sapwood, and that is going to give you. I'm going to go ahead and do it. In fact, I should have grabbed a bit of leather. That's going to give you your string line, your string angle. Excuse me. Yeah, towards the other knock. Let's just go ahead and do it. I say it can be nerve-wracking, but it's not set in stone at this point. And of course, there is the option of just getting the correct length string. And if it takes fitting the wrong length string, it's not the end of the world, as long as it's not too low a brace height. If you've got too long a string, you're liable to dry fire your bow. It's sort of safer to have a string that's too short rather than one that's too long. The other thing to mention, if your brace height's too low, you'll get good arrow speeds, but you're going to get slapped a lot, which is not ideal. I should mention this. This is a rat-tailed rasp, a rat-tailed file, I believe they call it. It might have even been with a chainsaw filing kit. So a chainsaw file is an extremely good gauge of file to do this job with. You could use other things. I've done it with a Dremel before. Yeah, Dremel does it quickly, but you can also mess up quite quickly with the Dremel. Yeah, not even really clamping the bow down in this. You can get a nice good look around the whole thing. Yeah, trying to make sure that the top of this groove lands right on the line you've marked. Now, this file is about the same width, excuse me, as most strings, and you're going to want it to be flush, so the file completely disappears into the groove that you've made. Okay, so that's one. Obviously going to repeat that on the other side. The next thing to note here, well, you're going to repeat it 3 times, in fact, because you've measured out the same thing on either end, double checked it. You should be good to go. The key thing to remember, I mean, you get a little bit of artistic license in this area when it comes to shape and sort of what tip overlays you use. There's a few key things to remember. The string's going to move. When you draw the bow, the string's going to want to go like this. I know, I've literally got my string on the floor right now, which you shouldn't do because it's get covered in grit and knocked up against things and whatnot. But this is all about protecting your string. We're decreasing wear on your string. So you want to remove, obviously once these are, both nicely filed in, you then want to look at removing this shoulder of material here. So you get a nice clean path for your loop to go. Yeah. Let's start the other side as well. Let's see how my line, I don't follow the line the whole way, but it gives us the angle that the groove wants to run in at. If I do the same again and just up to the point where the file disappears into the wood, we've done the same on the other side. And it should be nice and even. We haven't created any little areas where our string line could be off. What else is good to remember here? Yeah, the sort of the depth of your Nocks, the path of your Nocks, the sort of depth of your tip overlay can very slightly adjust your brace height. So I'm going to use these as test Nocks. We'll get a tiller string on there. At least we might have done today if I wasn't running my mouth. And we could even get the proper string on once these are done. I mean, if you floor tilled it far enough. This one I want to get onto the tilling tree as soon as possible because that limb is so different to this one. If I'm taking material away, then I want to be I want to be definite that I'm making the correct changes rather than just assuming I am. So don't know how those knots are going to behave. Yeah, you could have your proper string on there, and then you put your tip overlays on, and it's going to change the brace height. It's still looking good. That is really hurting my thumb trying to pinch that. Yeah, not quite the same. Handle's coming off my rasp. Yeah, the shape that you've managed to create can make it a bit tricky, but at least it has in this case. That side isn't flat and that one is. Yeah, it's this area. Here and here. Let's get up my proper battered string. You go down there, Hoodoo. You can test your size. This is why we come down to a certain width at the tip. Accommodate. Once again, you could choose your different loop lengths. I think this was 1.5 inches loop. It's another thing to consider. Sorry, yeah, you can choose different loop lengths. This one is 1.5 inches, and that is tied in with the various sizes that I've used. Smaller bows, you might want a smaller loop. Sorry, smaller tips, smaller loop. Horse bows want a much longer loop. They got like a 4-inch, 5-inch loop to get around their sears. But this is the key to the Nock design here. Hopefully you can see that from where the camera is. So yeah, when you're braced, you're going to be at this angle that we've created here. But then when you draw, it's going to go like that. It's going to pull up. And I can see it there. It's, the wood is cutting into the string effectively. So what we want to do is find a little rasp. And we're just going to get rid of that. And that in there. Just a wee bit. Always sculpting, little bits at a time. Never too much from one area. You keep it similar. But it's down to you really how they look exactly. You just want to keep those couple of principles in mind. You're trying to create certain dimensions, and you're also trying to house a string so it can move nicely. Yeah, even just that small amount of material made a huge amount of difference. Yes, indeedy. It's tricky in the workshop. I need some string hooks just sort of dotted around. Always taking them on and off, putting them, you know, running them up and down, sort of raggedy bits of wood. Should probably get a range of tiller and strings, really, shouldn't I? Take it easy on my proper string. It might just be time for a new one. Or give it a really good waxing. Give it a wipe down and wax. Wipe down strings? I think it's grit that really causes problems with them. Let's knock out this other knock. So I don't think we're bending enough to put the proper string on there. It might. But we are definitely ready for the tiller and tree. Let me try this out quick. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll stop this video after I've done the Nocks, and I'll do tiller and tree in another video is what I'll do. So I've still got to set up the string and the grid across the backboard for the tiller and tree. It's not essential, but it's pretty handy. Yeah. Need to take a wee bit more material away. Oh, see now I've gone in that one spot for too long. I wasn't concentrating. I'm not. There we go. Saved it. I didn't create the angle that I actually wanted. Didn't follow my line. Think we're okay. Slightly thicker, that's a tip. Spin around like this. It's ruining my thumb grip. Use my finger to hold it in place. The line. What's that handle? I need to glue that handle back on. You should use some pine resin. Use that bit of material in there. These are very rough. The final ones will end up just a little bit closer in here. That string again. Give them a wee check. There you He's staying on and he's moving freely. Easy peasy. And those are some simple tiller and nocks. Like I say, still going to need to be mindful of the tip overlays that want to go on there. They're not essential. You could get away without them, but I mean, why would you? Why would you not do tip overlays in mahogany or antler or something other sexy material? Just put the final shape into this one. You get it strong and call it finished. Hopefully this one will be an improvement. So we've got a bit more actual wood, actual sort of even heartwood on this one compared to this one. So we're going to hopefully keep this one flatter and more front set than this one is. We shall see. I've got some Nocks. Let's get it on the tillering tree. Right, thanks again. It's late. So I'm going to knock it on the head for tonight and we'll do tillering tree tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.